Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Quite a big, quite a few big moments. A very big reveal in the finale. We have quite a lot to say, and with some differing opinions. So, without further ado, we're gonna we're gonna lead in with just kind of our general feelings on season 2. I personally enjoyed season 2 quite a bit. I liked a lot of the action scenes. I liked quite a bit of the dialogue. Not all of it was up to par to what we're used to seeing in Daredevil, but overall, I quite enjoyed season 2, and I thought it was a step up from season 1. And just in comparison to other Marvel Disney Plus shows, I think it's pretty up there on my list of favorites. What do you guys think, Julio and Pablo or Rio?
Yeah,
Whoever,
go ahead, Rio. You can take this one.
are you sure you don't want, because I'm gonna have a yap session,
Oh yeah?
so
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go first.
So overall for me, I thought it was good compared to season one. Um, Looking back at it, yeah, season one kind of felt very discombobulated. Um, it felt like not it just felt like filler episodes sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I
The
know a
bank
lot of
episode.
people mentioned that bank scene, which after seeing
Ugh.
this season and like seeing the story that they were trying to tell with everything that happened, like everything felt cohesive. So for me, this season was good. There was some parts that yeah didn't really kind of hit for me, and we'll talk about that a little later on to go into like more depth. But overall, like I'm happy. I'm happy with how this went, and I am a little excited to see what they're gonna do with next season.
Yay, my turn. So
Yeah.
overall, I'm in agreement that this season is way better than season one. Season one was a mess, especially in the later half of that season.
Hmm.
The bank scene, the the Muse episode where he gets killed. Those two episodes to me will always keep season one as like the worst season. But this season was so much more consistent in terms of quality. Um, the characters that they introduced in season one, at least some of them get a lot more spotlight and development, and in some cases, they're actually compelling and interesting characters that I would put on par with even like some of the characters from the original series. And yeah, just to echo what they, no pun intended, what they said, compared to other Disney Plus series, this Born Again is probably like maybe top two or three. You could probably even argue it's the best Marvel Disney series. But I know
Oh,
some people would argue maybe Loki is or WandaVision is better. I personally would take this show, but I understand if anybody else didn't.
okay.
Um, the thing is, like the issues I start to have is when I compare it to like the older Netflix series and how they present their story, and then yeah, we'll get into it later. But the issues I have with it are just a lot more prevalent than maybe my contemporaries feel. But we'll all get into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the beginning of the season, you'll have to remind me, Pablo. I think you still have it pulled up, but basically we
Hmm.
start off with the Northern Star, Daredevil doing. He's on a mission. Goes on. He's on Wilson's Fist, Northern Star, in his own port that he's kind of masquerading as like for the public or something like that. And essentially, he finds illegal weapons, and that leads into this whole thing of Fisk not being able to escape who he is, and is obviously being mayor of New York for his own benefit under the guise of being there for New York and for the people, for the New Yorkers. What was it again that happened after the sinking of the ship? There's a whole
So after
vigilante thing, right?
yeah, there's the vigilante thing. We get into kind of where everyone's kind of been at after a while. You get to see Matt and Karen's kind of relationship, like has kind of like rekindled um into back to where they're like a more a romantic item than compared to before. We get the introduction of Matthew Lillard's character, who's kind of like this stand-in for another Marvel character, major Marvel character recently,
Valentina.
Valentina from
Mm.
the Thunderbolts and from
And
other projects as well.
they're the ones that supplied Wilson Fisk with the guns, right? That was for the
Yeah, with
task
the
force.
weapons.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was all to support his task force in being against, like, hunting down and outlawing the vigilantes.
Wait, was
Actually,
that for
no,
the task
no, the
force? I
weapons
think he was
weren't
just
for the
trying
task force.
to, yeah, he was just trying to ship them off like across the sea for whatever their
Oh,
need,
okay.
and then Fisk like decided to just take him and arm the task force with them. So
Yeah.
it wasn't
Oh,
for him. Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
So that's how he ended up crossing Lillard's character and Valentina.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
why
exactly.
Lillard comes in. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes. Because that was
Yeah.
the deal they had, and then Fisk went back on it once it started getting like a little bit more hectic in the
Yeah.
later episodes. And then
Hmm.
you start to have like there's the Heather interviewing swordsman. You can kind of see the deterioration of her like mental health.
That trauma
Uh
from her uh fight with Muse and
mhm.
his attack on her, which I think is a pretty kind of an interesting arc that isn't like a huge focus, but one of the more interesting arcs for me this season.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay.
And
All right, and
then
then you had like the first mate and the captain scene where they're like trying to escape. They find the first captain, and there's that whole scene with them interrogating him.
mhm,
The conversation that Karen and BB had, where they're kind of reminiscing on uh, Ben and his impact on them, and then a bunch of other scenes. But then it finally coalesces at the end of episode one with uh, the AVTF storming Sherry's house, Daredevil coming in and saving him, and then he has a PTSD moment and has to get saved by Bullseye,
yeah.
and that's the end
Yeah.
of that first episode.
That
So
was
basically, a lot of setup.
kind of weird because I don't think we ever learned how or why Bullseye was there. Like, was he just stalking Matt? That's just basically it. He
I
was
think
just
I'm
that's what's
guessing.
keeping
implied,
tabs
that
on
he
him.
was just kind of following him. Yeah.
Okay. Um, dude, honestly, all right. So I think the kind of arcs we have are we have BB and Daniel's relationship. We have
Mhm.
Heather dealing with her trauma from Muse. We have Vanessa. Um, what I guess just Vanessa like co running things with Wilson Fisk, Matt and Karen, and then of course we have appearances with what's her name, Angela as White Tiger, which she doesn't get. I think she got a solid amount of screen time. I don't think they overdid it. But we have
Mhm.
we have her and she has her moments. Is that covering everything? Buck, we've gotten a little bit of Buck
Buck is kind
backstory.
of in that BB, in that
Yeah,
BB
the
Daniel
BB and Daniel.
subplot,
Yeah.
as well as like his relationship with Heather and how that is like progressing.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ones as well. You know, Powell, he's still a piece of crap.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's
Ow.
his character.
Ugh.
What honestly, kudos to the actor for Powell. He
He's
plays a
killing it.
sleazy slime ball
Yeah.
so perfectly. I don't know if I've ever hated a character as much as like as Powell. And then you have like Bullseye in the background. He's just in random places, so I guess that goes into like why he was with he was watching over Daredevil at the end of
What is it
episode
that
one.
Bullseye's trying to do? Because
I think
he
he's
like I
just trying
guess
to do good
okay, but in a twisted way.
in a very twisted kind of bullseye type of way. Like
Okay.
he's just going around murdering AVTF members, bailing out Daredevil in his fights. he's just kind of all around.
Yeah.
But also we see in a later episode, he's kind of like having his own like little facade going around. He has his own apartment, which is kind of weird that you know anybody everybody who's anybody knows what Bullseye looks like, and his
Yeah.
face should be plastered all over the world
Yeah.
or all over New York. So the fact that he found an apartment somewhere in New York and nobody is like, "Hey, isn't that the guy that like tried to shoot the mayor a couple of months ago?" I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's funny enough to see him like just having this like normal life, but then like he's calling AVTF members to get them to go to a location, try to kill them. So he's just all over the
Right.
place. And to add to Vanessa, she's also kind of reeling with that, like the decision she made to hire Bullseye
Mm-hmm.
to kill Foggy. She's like kind of got her, she's kind of looking over her shoulder all the time, like
Yeah.
is like, is Bullseye gonna kill me? And he's like actively stalking her because there's a scene where she's talking to Heather and he's just watching them, and like she feels that somebody's like constantly like that fear. She has dreams about him, and so yeah, there's that subplot as well.
So I think um there's quite a few action moments throughout the season that have been like pretty great. Honestly, the diner scene with Bullseye, I think he steals the spotlight in just about every moment he's on screen. Bullseye is a fan favorite. He's just it's just weird that it's almost kind of like with the Penguin where you kind of forget you're not really supposed to root for him because he is a villain at the end of the day. And of course, even like in this show, I mean, Bullseye isn't exactly the Penguin because he's still kind of doing good things. That's where the Penguin is an outright villain. But you can't help but root for Point Dexter, even though he's still kind of twisted mentally. Obviously, he showed compassion to that that dude with the dog in the diner, and he's like, what was it?
One
He
of the
was
good
like,
guys.
"That's unsanitary with having the
Dogs
dog in
in
the diner."
restaurants.
Um, but that each action scene with Point Dexter is just so fun to watch. The fight with him
Yeah.
and Matt in his apartment. And then of course you're obviously reminded why we don't root for him because that sweet old lady that was his neighbor and just like the sweetest to him, treated him so well, and he still held her hostage in his fight against Matt. Um, I think, especially in comparison to season one, there was some brutality in the season one fights, but season two, I just felt was the action was choreographed a little bit better in some parts. Uh, we can't forget that opening in season one with Point Dexter at Josie's, which was
Mhm.
really good. But I also really liked seeing the swordsman, uh, and Matt when they did the whole prison breakout thing. There were some brutal moments there, right? I was like, bro, did Matt just kill this cop? Because he threw like a steel pipe or like a beam is what it looked
Yeah, I
like.
thought that was Swordsman low key,
You
but
did,
it could have
but
been
it like
where
it
he
like
like threw it through one
punctured
of
the
their legs.
officer's like shoulder, and I was like, he looked like he died. Kind of like
Yeah.
that moment in what was it? What was it? Civil War with Captain America, and he was just like bludgeoning the soldiers.
Oh yeah, he was like
I don't know if that was Civil
throwing his
War
like
or Age of
shield.
Ultron, but he was just like beating the crap out of those soldiers. Um, but yeah, that I think I really like the action scenes in this season.
Okay,
Where
so episode
well,
5 kind of
four
has it. Four is the
the
main.
the boxing match, right?
Yeah. So yeah, the oneer at the end of episode 3, because up until that point, I was kind of like, this is all set up. It's fine,
Mm-hmm.
like I know everybody, at least initially early on when the reviews were coming out, they're like, yeah, the first 2 episodes and a half were like it makes me feel like season 1, and then
Yeah.
at the end of episode 3, that's when it starts taking off, which makes complete sense. I am in a complete agreement because that's when the oneer happens, the prison break, swordsman, Daredevil, the one shot. It was it was great.
That's all. There's quite a
Um,
bit that happens in that episode.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And so yeah,
Was there
generally
moments
speaking,
with the BB and Daniel too in episode 3? Is that where they kind
like
of started with the whole finding out who's leaking us?
that is the episode where it's like I believe he's like, "You don't fuck with me, BB." Like,
Yeah,
I like,
if it's you the one if you're the one who's leaking things, stop it because if you don't, it's gonna get bad for the both of us.
Okay.
mhm.
Because he invites her to dinner at his place, I believe,
Actually, that
and
might
that's
be
when they
episode
have that
2.
conversation between them.
Okay. Yeah.
Episode 3 is where Daniel makes Buck eat hot dogs, and
And then they had that conversation, right?
and then they have the conversation. Okay,
Okay.
episode 2 is that scene where he's like, "Don't fuck with me," like you
Okay.
need to cut it out. But yeah, that's the episode where it's like everything starts to build up more, and it's also the swordsman quote unquote trial. It's a kangaroo court. It's like it wasn't really a trial. They had no
Hmm.
evidence against him, but they still threw him in the slammer
It was a
for
bot court, right?
yeah. It's basically like it's a corrupt court.
Okay.
Um, which I'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah, that's when everything starts to you know hit the fan. Fisk blows up the boat at the end of the episode, and he murders all those people. But yeah, up until this point, like the action generally in this scene or in this season, top notch, fantastic, love it. I don't think there's a single action scene in this season that I'm like, oh man, that was bad. Like they could have done that better. Um, there wasn't any editing issues like there was in season 1 with the
Hmm.
Muse fight where there was like cuts every single like movement these guys had. It was like, okay, you guys are giving me a headache with how many cuts are going on here.
Yeah.
Or as much as I do love the original Daredevil series, there are moments where, like at the end of season 3, where Daredevil's fighting Kingpin, where he's punching, but it's obvious he's not connecting with the hit, and Fisk is still like reacting to it as if he is punching, and it's like, oh, that's kind of it kind of takes you out of it, but it's still a good scene. Don't crucify
Yeah.
me. But this season doesn't have it. Also, there was some iffy CGI in season 1 as well, where it feels like in this one it doesn't.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot tighter.
Yeah.
There's some
100%.
CGI, but it's not like all in your face,
Yeah.
and they're not throwing a bunch of smoke on the screen so you can't tell what's going on. But so
Mhm.
overall, I think the action in this season phenomenal. What about you, Julio?
No, yeah, I think the action scenes are good. It's definitely better choreographed than the first season. For me, though, the action kind of started falling off after episode 5. Because at first we do get some really cool fight scenes. The first episode with Daredevil and the task force when they're at the what's the guy's Henry's
Cherry's
apartment? What's
Cherry?
apartment.
his name?
Yeah.
Cherry.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that when they're in the apartment, like that action scene, that fight scene is very well done. Then you get the one with the prison breakout where they're like releasing the hostages and stuff, or the
Mm-hmm.
prisoners. That's really cool. Um, but then after that, like I feel the action scenes don't really have that same kind of gritty look to it. And I don't know why, but yeah, for me, they just after that they just started not hitting as
Yeah.
well as they were. Like I know they have the action scene with Jessica Jones and him going into that
Armory.
the armory, yeah, to destroy that. Like for me, that wasn't that great because it just seemed like things were being thrown around. Daredevil was just like flying in with
Batons.
his propeller thing,
Billy
yeah,
Club.
and it wasn't as cool for me as I feel like it could have been, or as they had like already previously established
Hmm.
with the previous episodes.
Yeah.
The hallway scene at the end, that was cool, but at the same time, I also feel like it wasn't. I wanted to see better choreographed moves, I guess. But I understand. I mean, Daredevil was injured; he couldn't really do much.
Yeah.
Like at that end fight scene, he was just flying around, like I said. And to me, it's cool, but after a while, it's just like, okay, you're just sipping from one place to another. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's whatever. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is, for me, the fight scenes were good. Uh, the one that was probably my favorite was the bullseye at the diner.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I do have my gripes with bullseye just because the way he fights, like it looks super cool. So I kind of like, I'm gonna give it a
Ignore
pass
it.
because yeah, like him ricocheting things off the walls and doing all these cool things, like it's awesome, and that's what you want to see in the comic book show. But some things just don't make sense. Like I had told Pablo or Rio this before, where like in the scene where Matt goes into his apartment, he throws the disc, the CD,
Mm-hmm.
and then the CD gets stuck to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like in real life, that wouldn't happen. The CD would break.
Yeah.
Um, Even with the lobster that he throws at the guy's face, like I feel like for it to be able to hit the guy's face and get stuck there, like he needs to throw it like super, super
There
hard.
needs to be like some G force behind that thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, maybe Bullseye is like superhuman and he can throw things at like with super
Mach
force or
1
something.
speed.
Yeah, um, but like I said, I'm gonna give it a pass just because it does look cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah,
He did have that surgery at the end of season 3.
Was
right, and
that was
that's what
that
I kind of
physically
thought about too.
enhancing
I'm like, does that make
like
him into like a superhuman or
muscle?
something?
I don't know if it does in this continuity. I know generally speaking in the comics it does, like it is kind of an enhancer.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he either it's like an adamantium spine or something along those lines. Um, but hey, back support is very important for throwing. So like,
True.
True.
so
It's
maybe it
all in
gives
your
him
head.
that little oomph, when it comes to his throws.
Yeah. I think in this season we see a lot of we have quite a bit of duos like Matt and Paige, Phoebe and Daniel,
Daniel
Fisk,
and Buck.
Daniel and Buck, yes. Fisk and Vanessa, obviously.
For me, characters that I didn't think I would enjoy, but I did, was Daniel and Buck. Like
Yeah,
their banter between them like was really well done,
yeah.
and I actually started to care about Daniel because in first season I was just like, who are these people? Why do I need to care about them?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this season did a really good job creating like storylines for them and character arcs that are satisfying at the end. Um, Especially with BB, I know a lot of people criticized BB in the first season because they were like, I'm not really digging this BB report stuff."
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I feel like they really did a good job in this season, kind of giving her a purpose and her like her moment to shine at the end
Yeah.
with everything. Yeah. And with Daniel too, like you actually started to care about this character. Um, and then yeah, he gets his redemption arc at the end when he decides to just let BB go.
Mm.
And I think it was a fitting end that he died. It sucks. It was like, damn, that's rough, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in this world that they were building, like there needed to be consequences, and I
Yeah.
think that was something that paid off well.
I think I even think originally Buck didn't shoot him, but
That
in
was
the
the plan.
editing, yeah, in the editing, they were like, they changed their minds and were like, no, this is the end. This is a result that makes sense, and it's the result that we think Daniel's story naturally leads to. Which I originally thought I was originally worried that he would be killed by Fisk himself in the first season. Just kind of like, because it kind of made me think of the relationship between Oswald and Vic in the Penguin. And like the moment Vic didn't get on that bus, I was like, he's a dead man. Like that's just, you already knew. But you didn't. I didn't already know that with Daniel in Born Again season 1, but I was kind of worried that it would lead to that point. And while he didn't die by Fisk's hand, it did eventually cost him. Uh, Ultimately, because it was all BB's fault because she kept leaking stuff, even though she told him she wouldn't. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually, yeah, that him dying was, I think, the most quote unquote realistic ending for Daniel. And while him and Buck had a natural bonding that was really nice to see, it does suck that he did die by Buck's hand. And I think that's a little bit more impactful than if he were to die by Fisk. Because with Fisk,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little more like something you would see coming because he's killed so many people already.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, that was yeah, dude. His Daniel's ending like it sucked, but dude, Michael Gandolfini, man, he nailed it.
He
He was
nailed it.
great
He
as
did.
Daniel.
It honestly, it sucks that honestly, that's the one thing that I don't like the fact that he died is because I honestly think he was one of the stronger original characters from this pool of born again characters that to write him off, it's like it kind of does hurt in my
Mm-hmm.
in my eyes because in this season like he really did like start to shine like yeah he had his dynamic with BB, he had his dynamic with Buck, and it was like okay, and then like the idea that he was like getting deeper and deeper into the like into the weeds, and
Mm-hmm.
like he's burying bodies with Buck,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
it really could. There was a time, there was like maybe a second or two in that scene with Buck and at the very end that I'm like, oh, is Buck gonna let him live? Because that was
Yeah,
kind
you
of
kind of
like,
have that hope.
yeah, you're like, okay, Buck, and like he kind of throughout the seasons, like I've grown fond of this guy, and then like the implication that even from his perspective that Daniel was supposed to be like the inheritor of Kingpin's legacy, and that
Yes.
he was supposed to kind of take over for him after the fact, and for things to turn out that way, it's like it gave me that tension, like is he going to let him live, is he not going to let him live?
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a there's a lot of, and this is what I appreciate about the season, there's a lot of endings to character arcs that is like, oh, that completely is, that is so poetic with the way that they ended that character, because
Yeah.
it's like, or at least where they end up in this season, it's like, yeah, that makes complete and total sense. This kid was, he was in over his head, he was, you could see him even at the beginning of this season, he's like, I don't want to give up BB, but you're gonna like, if you want to live, you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, he was like, you know what, I'll give my life up to BB. I know people were like, why did he give him or give her up? She has screwed him over this entire season. And it's like, well, he kind of screwed her over whenever
He did.
like he took over her
They were both using each
her
other.
yeah, he took over her BB report, and something that she worked hard on, and basically just made it propaganda for Wilson Fisk. So they're both using each other. They took advantage of each other. They both screwed each other over. But
And
it is
Yeah.
good
ultimately,
that,
it costed a life.
yeah, it did cost a life, and it is good that somebody. It is good that someone on the Fisk side of all of this did end up being like getting away from it and was like, no, I'm not going to end. Like, I'm not going to be like one of these people, even though he did help a lot of the terrible things that this group did.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, he had the wherewithal to think, oh, okay, I can't. This is a line I just can't cross over.
Yeah. You said something about poetic endings, and
Mm-hmm.
I think probably the most there's two, but one of the ones that I think impacted a lot of people was Vanessa's death in episode 5.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we see all those, uh flashbacks and like the memories and like the previous moments between Matt and Foggy, and Vanessa and Wilson. Um, I think those were all very beautiful moments, and I think they really, the way they tied those moments in the past to the decisions made in the future was really really well done. I know a lot of people had issue with like, well, yeah, I mean some people had issue with like the way I think Matt and Foggy looked in those flashback scenes, but I think overall people just really appreciated those moments. Um, what did you guys think about that arc specifically in 5 with the death of Vanessa, and then kind of how they they brought things together in that one episode?
5, I think, is, in my opinion, it's the best episode of this season. Honestly, it's my favorite episode of all of Born Again. The flashback to Foggy is, it really does make me wish that they just, I know like it's a divisive change to kill off Foggy, and honestly, I do in my heart of hearts believe it is to the detriment of the series overall that Foggy is not there on a consistent basis. And
Mm-hmm.
this episode really like highlights that because he is such a he is such an integral part of Daredevil as a character. The fact he's not here for the entirety of the season, it really does, it leaves something in my heart that's just like, oh man, I just wish he was still here. I really do think that he brings so much to the table, not in terms of his performance, his actor, the dynamic between Foggy and Matt is such a bright spot, and not just this show, but in just Marvel in general. Their relationship is like so well written and done that even though I have some really weird issues with the continuity of this episode because they do the whole, oh, my how about Nelson and Murdoch, and then it's like, oh wow, it's like I'm making my way up in the world. They had that same exact conversation in the first season of the show, but they're reheating those nachos and hoping that everybody just forgets that, oh yeah, they had that same kind of conversation already, as well as kind of the like it was kind of the Kingpin Vanessa like timeline. It was like, so what they kind of presented was that they had met already before, but then you show him like, but at that point in time,
Oh
what we saw
yeah,
in the original Netflix show, the first time they met was like when he had already was
when he went to the
familiar kind of
when he went to
with
the shop.
when he went to the like the art exhibit, yeah. And at that point in time, he was already kind of familiar with Nelson and Murdoch, but in the timeline, Nelson or Foggy and Matt are like not even in their own like, they're not even in their own firm. Yes.
Okay.
And it's like like it's kind of like fudging the timeline for the sake of it. Overall, I don't really care as much because, if people are going to be more sticklers for like, oh, plot hole, I'm going to be more so later about other characters, but this, because the episode is so good, I don't even care. I could not care. Seeing Wesley again, so good. The dynamic he and Fisk had is also very well done, and it just reminds me of better times.
What did you think, Julio?
Yeah, no, for sure this episode was probably my favorite. And I did hear a lot of people who had watched the show before, they were like saying, "Oh, episode 5 is like the best." So when I um watched it, I was expecting like just a bunch of action because of the aftermath with what Vanessa and the boxing match and stuff. And I thought Fisk was gonna go crazy this episode, and that's why we were gonna get like this climactic like point in the show. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like everything was just dialogue, but it was
Yes.
very well written.
Yes.
They tied a lot of stuff. Well, they showed a lot of stuff from like the Netflix series, which I think they did really well to integrate it into here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a lot of the Netflix show, so like the thing that Pablo's mentioning, that Nelson and Murdoch, like that's already they already had said that before. Like I don't remember that, so for me that was like fresh, I guess. I
Yeah.
was like,
Hmm.
oh, that's cool. But no, I think they did really good. Like this episode had a lot of uh, good character development as well. I feel
Yeah.
like because yeah, it does show the difference between Matt and Foggy, where like Foggy's more like we need to give people hope, we need to give people second chances, and at this point in the story, Matt was more about like whatever happens, yeah, these are the choices that people make, like
Yeah.
this. Um, but I really did like this episode. Um, yeah, I think it was one of the best ones of the show.
I think those flashbacks really emphasize the trajectory of these characters, specifically with Matt and Wilson. I kind of forget the details with the little arc with Wilson and Vanessa. Um, but with Matt, where Foggy gives that guy, like his childhood best friend's brother, the money, even though he probably didn't deserve it. Um, Matt remembering that, and then I guess ended up feeling guilty about his present day, where uh
Mercy.
he wasn't showing mercy to Bullseye,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
then he decides, he decides to go back and save him when he already said, I can't save you. I think
Mhm.
I really like moments like that, because it's like kind of like a small detail, but it's a real testament to the character of that character, if that makes sense. And I thought that was really beautiful that they kind of like tied those things together. With Wilson, I really did forget like what it was mostly like, I guess, just like highlighting that how much Vanessa was to Wilson, and basically once she died, a part of him died, and then he became the Kingpin. So Vanessa died, Wilson Fisk died, and the Kingpin was like born essentially, right? Um,
Born again.
yes, haha, roll credits.
Yeah.
Um, the next two episodes we kind of have what were they? Just kind of like a quick rundown. What were they? There was like,
Episode 6 was when Jessica Jones and Daredevil, like, this is the first time we see Jessica. We see that Matthew Lillard's character sends a bunch of his goons
mm-hmm,
to Jessica's house. Vanessa's funeral. Fisk kills the doctor, which I'm surprised that nobody
that was
talks about
just
the
Right.
fact.
so out there.
It's like we're not going to talk about like he just murdering a very prominent,
Prolific doctor in
prolific
a
doctor, a
hospital room.
surgeon. It's the scene, and this is kind of like where things might start ruffling some feathers. Or this is where I think the episode where I start to like lose it with Matt and Karen's relationship, because this is where Karen tries to kill Bullseye, and he stops her from doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another scene with Matthew Lillard where he's like in the armory where all the guns used to be, and he's like, I really trusted you, like blah 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 blah, and then Fisk doesn't say anything. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, Fisk doesn't say anything this whole episode, and people have
Oh
pointed this
no.
out until the very end, where Matt shows up to confront him, and this is the fight between him and Kingpin. And it's like he does not speak this whole episode. All the scenes he has, he doesn't talk to anyone.
he's grieving.
Uh, yeah, he's grieving until Matthew Murdoch shows up, and then he
He
starts
stops
yapping
grieving.
away. Yeah.
What was your issue
There's
with that moment with Paige and Matt?
So my issue with this, and I guess this is kind of an issue I have overall with this season. They are really trying to sell me on the idea of Matt and Karen's relationship, and I just do not buy it at all. I have seen from season 2, from where they first like started kind of dating each other,
Mm-hmm.
but then the deterioration of their relationship because of everything was happening with Elektra, the Punisher trial, and everything being stressful on them, they broke up. And then Daredevil obviously had his relationship with Elektra. Karen goes on to have a will they, won't they relationship with the Punisher. And to me, there is just so much outside of their relationship with each other that I just cannot buy that these guys are so infatuated and so they're soulmates for each other. It's like if
Mm-hmm.
they're soulmates, then why are they going through all of this? Why did Karen leave Matt in season 1 after Foggy died? If you guys are quote unquote soulmates, and then the conversation they have is you keep choosing the wrong people, and he asked her what is wrong, like what happened to you, and it's like, Matt, it's very obvious what happened to her. She does not. Bullseye has tortured this lady. He has tried to kill her. He has killed her friends, people she loves. It makes complete and total sense why she would want to kill Bullseye. But at the same time, the way she kind of condescends to him because he doesn't want to kill people, and it's like, oh, that's the wrong decision. I grew up. That's an kind of like implying it's an immature mentality to have to not kill people. It kind of reaffirms to me that these two are at their core
Incompatible.
fundamentally different. They're incompatible. They're fundamentally different characters,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
especially with the idea of killing people. Matt is very much like no killing. Yes, he has crossed that line before with Bullseye in season 1 of Born Again, but he's stated how he regrets it. He never is going to do that. Even tells Bullseye, like, I have to learn to forgive you. And Karen she's been around the Punisher, and she has no issue with potentially killing people off. So, like, if the fact that you guys are so fundamentally juxtaposed in this idea, it shows to me that these two aren't really soulmates. They're just people that are in a very intense situation, which is being on the run against Kingpin, that
Mm-hmm.
have had history with each other. But I just don't buy the relationship between the two. And that this
Yeah.
conversation in this episode solidified to me that, yeah, as much as you guys want to show, like, throw that, oh, they go to their Indian restaurant that they did in the original show, oh, they love each other, I don't buy it. I just don't.
I think
And
every other relationship feels more authentic than Karen and Matt's. I think specifically for me, especially in a romantic sense, despite Wilson and Vanessa being married, uh, BB and Daniel, their I felt like their romance was much more. It felt much more authentic.
was it
Uh,
romance?
Yeah, I didn't.
yeah,
That kind of made me question too, because I'm like,
I feel like at the very end, that's where, cause I mean, bro, they almost kissed right at his house.
mm,
I
I
They
don't.
were stand
I
they were
never got
like
I
that
they
feel
far.
like
weren't
Daniel
leaving room
likes
for the Holy Spirit. They were standing pretty close,
I feel like Daniel likes
s-
BB or
staring into each
loved
other.
BB, but I don't feel that BB felt the same way for Daniel.
You
Yeah,
don't think so?
that's the thing too
I
for
really
me.
don't. If uh,
I
I'll
don't
take it like
know.
this: if they loved each other, BB wouldn't have constantly been screwing him over this season.
I know, but
Like,
I'm saying I think it was like before they were like friends, but I think there was some bonding, and it was at that end where I think there was feelings like romantic feelings for me. I could have sworn they looked like they were wanting to kiss at the end of that episode where they were at his house, and then Buck calls and interrupts everything.
hmm?
I could have sworn because he was like, "I want to protect you" or whatever, and then she's like, "From what?" And then Buck calls and he's like, "From him."
from him,
I
and
could
it's
have
like
sworn they were. I might be misremembering. I probably am, but I could have sworn
That just might be
there was a
the
little flutter
romantic
there.
in you, but I didn't. I
You
didn't
didn't?
get any.
Okay.
I didn't get any reciprocating romance, at least from BB. Yeah.
Okay.
I could see like how you could interpret that, but yeah, I'm kind of on like Julio's side where I'm like
Maybe I'm just a
it
shipper. I don't
didn't,
know.
maybe you are, maybe you are, but it's fair. Like they kind of like were they did have like that burgeoning relationship with each other, and maybe if time goes on, it could have been more.
Yeah,
But
I think
obviously,
so. But
mm,
I mean, either way, I think they definitely grew closer by the end. By the end,
Yeah, for
mhm,
sure.
definitely.
until he died. Season episode 7. What kind of what was the rundown on that? I would like to get into the finale.
Episode
You're done with it.
7 was that's the episode Daniel dies at
Okay.
the very end.
Yeah. I feel like
Okay.
we
It's
kind of
the
talked about that a little bit, but
it's mhm.
did you have any more kind of like any more on his death and kind of like the things that led to
Mm,
that?
no,
Or are you
everything
ready to?
was pretty good. Yeah, I'm ready to move on to episode 7. This is where Karen is in jail. Um I don't have an inherently an issue with that. I do people are going to hate it a lot more because they're going to be like why I know they explained it in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
To me, with everything that Wilson Fisk has done, and you could say, "Oh, well, he's trying to gain control of the city." Bro, it is way too far gone at this point. I don't see how Karen survives this situation. Like should have been where Kingpin kills her. This is what he's been wanting for like seasons at this point.
Yeah.
Like ever since season 1, he's been trying to kill this girl. And the fact that he had her in her prison and now all of a sudden he wants to do it for
He wants to do
he
it the
cares
right
about
way.
public he wants to do it the right way. It's like, wow, that's very convenient start for him to start wanting to do it the right way. Oh, because he wants the approval of the city. I I can't buy that. I cannot buy that after everything he's done over the last 2 seasons. I can't buy that he's starting to he conveniently now wants to start doing things by the book. And then in
Especially
the
since
same
after
episode he
Vanessa
tries to
died.
in the same episode he tries to murder the governor of the state.
Oh yeah. We'll
How
have
is
her
how is
assassinated. Yeah.
have her assassinated? He tries to assassinate a governor. And now all of a sudden he cares about doing things by the book. No, that's plot armor. That is plot
Yeah,
armor to a T. But I don't
fake,
it
fake
sets
plot
up
armor.
it sets up what happens in the end of the season, which is very satisfying, in my opinion. Um I'm trying to see through everything else. Yeah, this is where Matthew shows up again as Murdoch, and he's the lawyer that everybody expects him to be.
Mm-hmm.
They put the AVTF on trial. They grill them because they're dumb, and then yeah, they try to shoot. They not try. They did shoot Matt outside of the courthouse, and then there's the scene with Heather and Karen in the prison where they're like, "He loves me. He doesn't love you," and it's like, oh, okay.
Dude, Karen trying to play mind games with a shrink was so bold. And then
It was ballsy.
it's like it was like, oh, she kind of got her. And then Heather just claps back, and then it's like, okay, and then it's like Karen just kind of shrinks because Heather was like just railing her with all these. With all, I don't even know how
Everything
to
that
explain
happened
it.
to her, like
Yeah,
she brought up her brother dying in
yeah, her
season
past. She
3.
was like, I know you better than you know you, and I was like, dang, dude, that's
It's like,
crazy.
damn. I was like, shoot. Like I enjoyed their conversation.
Yeah.
Uh then it ends up she just smacks her in the face and it's just like we should do this again sometime. It's like, oh my god.
And
I
then
do.
That shot where
Then
Muse is in
Muse.
the back, and I'm like, dude, oh, that was really well done. Cause it's uh, like her, like that side of her is just rising. The form of her new self from that trauma of Muse, like a little
Mhm.
Muse, just like mentally growing in her. Really
on
cool.
her shoulder,
Yeah.
just like
Mhm.
whispering to her. I don't think we've talked about that, but I do actually really like that angle that they're going with her character, because season one it was like she's the love interest for Matt that kind of, it's obviously she's like a rebound for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad because there were episodes where she was a nice, kind individual. And then, like, after the whole Muse situation, their relationship suffers. And this season, it's just like she is just struggling. She like tampers with the interview with Swordsman,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of does that with Karen. So you could see her like slowly but surely just devolving into this like crazy person.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that. I enjoyed that aspect to her character. What about you, Julio?
For me, Heather and the whole Muse thing doesn't really connect with me. Like, I don't really care about her too much. Um, I don't know. Maybe I don't know the character of Muse like you guys. Um, but yeah, for me, I just see her as this psychiatrist who works for Fisk and does things for him, like with the Swordsman, where she, made him seem like he's crazy, he shouldn't be out in society, and she tried to do the same with Paige. But the whole Muse thing with her, like, it just doesn't work for me. I don't see her as a threatening presence.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, when she puts on that mask and she just looks at herself, like, I didn't feel anything. I'm just like, okay, whatever, next, show me something else
There's a
because
moment in the
I
finale,
don't.
which I'm really excited to get to, that I think kind of explains that moment. The finale. Okay, so the finale, dude, quite a bit happened. Uh, I'll kind of reiterate on the action scenes, and but I think the courtroom, and then the very end, I think might be the most our biggest points. So the back to back hallway scenes, or like the simultaneous hallway scenes. Fisk goes
Mm-hmm.
boo, and it just starts rampaging through the halls. I know there's like content like issues with that when it comes to consequences and everything, but
Yeah, me and Julio will probably talk about it.
just seeing Fisk like just tear through these young people, like it was like crazy, dude. I was like,
It
oh
was
my gosh,
fun.
seeing him pick this kid up and like slam his back against like the corner of this
Yeah, he
wall.
bent,
I
man.
was like,
Oh,
bro,
bro, he bullseyed him.
dude,
Like,
like
good
crushing heads
lord.
with his hands at when he's on the balcony and he's just like people are dogpiling on him. Someone mentioned in a comment it was kind of like that. How many men does it take to beat down a
Oh,
gorilla?
The
dude.
gorilla.
And it's
Yeah, I
like,
saw
dude,
that.
yeah. And seeing him just hold his own against so many people in that singular moment was really cool. Um,
Yeah.
Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and then Ava getting her
White,
moment.
white tiger.
I loved Ava getting her moment because that was really cool. Just kind of seeing her in action, not just stealing weapons and stuff for her teammates, but actually
Hmm.
getting physical this time. And like just jumping on dudes, knocking them out, beating them up. Seeing Daredevil fly through that hallway, I know Julio had problems with him zipping around everywhere like he's Spider Man, but I think I think that moment where
We'll get into him later.
you see Daredevil fly across the screen, and then like Ava come up behind him, and then Jessica Jones is just beating people down. There's a lot of flashing lights. That shot kind of sticks into my mind because that was just really cool. And it was at the end, it was a little lackluster, but I think the hallway specifically was very cool. So,
Yeah.
how did you guys feel about that little double hallway moment?
I think it was cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do hate on it for specific reasons, but seeing it being played, like it is cool, like the way they were editing it, where like Fisk would throw someone through the door, and then they would cut to Matt and um, Jessica Jones, like
Mm-hmm.
doing kind of like the same thing. It's kind of like mirroring each other. It
Yeah.
Mhm.
was really cool. I think what they did there was uh, pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, like the ending, like the aftermath of what happened when they're just like kind of talking to each other, where Matt is and Fisk are having this whole little heart to heart conversation. Everyone's just standing around listening. It felt kind of lackluster.
I think so too.
Um, yeah, and yeah, we'll get into a little bit more of like the problems that I feel like me and Pablo have with
Mm-hmm.
what happened with Fisk at the end. Um, but yeah, Pablo, I guess say what you got to say.
Oh my god, this finale. This finale has a lot of good, and to me, just a I wouldn't say complete bad, but there's a good chunk of bad that I'm like, okay, like so first off what you mentioned, the two hallway scenes, love them both. I'm like at that point in time, I'm turning off the logic. I want to see some cool stuff happening on screen. And
Mm-hmm.
Fisk, the shot where the camera is like panning up at him, where he looks like he's almost touching the ceiling of the hallway, that is he had his Vader moment where like they were banging on the door, get me out of here, like this guy is going to murder us. And
Yeah.
every person that goes up against him is getting thrown against the wall, head crush, back broken, backhand, and their faces are getting splattered against the wall. Absolutely loved it. Hype moments in Aura, the scene, and obviously juxtaposed to, I keep saying that, but Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and White Tiger. We finally get to see what White Tiger's abilities are, and she's like slamming this guy's head against the wall, and you could see the wall like breaking
Dude,
behind his
she
head.
was brutal.
And she was going crazy. She was flipping off the walls, like doing stuff like that. Like, okay, that I like. That I'm okay with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Kudos to her. She is like a teenager doing stuff that a particular web crawler isn't. But he, what a great action set piece. But other than that, like before and after, so this whole court scene, it's kangaroo court. I said this before. This isn't a serious court. Like, compare this to like a scene from the Netflix series. They're just throwing evidence that hasn't been presented yet because it all wants to be like, ooh, yeah, like plot twist. I pulled this on you. Um,
Right, yeah.
it's like, hey, like here's new evidence. Oh, here's new evidence. Up, and it's like part of me in in the moment, it didn't. I was like, I was getting pissed off because I'm like, come on, this isn't like actual like or an actual trial or judge. But then it, like Matt actually says, rewatching the episode, it's like this isn't a real court. Like, come on, let's be honest here. Like, this is the same court that threw Swordsman into jail for like no evidence whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So I got over it after rewatching it,
I
seeing
mean,
other people react to it. I'm like, okay, you know what? I actually like all this.
I think
Screw it. Like,
Hochberg even mentions that whole evidence
yes,
thing.
exactly.
He's like,
Yeah,
"What are we doing here?" And then
like this is a
that's
circus,
yeah.
and then the judge is like, we've been under the tent for like at this point in time for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and at that point I'm like, okay, yeah, I could get it. It's not gonna be like a 100%ly accurate like courtroom drama like you saw in like maybe season 1 or 2 of Daredevil, or even in like the Defenders.
Yeah.
And that's, to me,
But I think they explained it sufficiently.
they
I mean,
explained it
it's like they
sufficiently
were at
enough.
least self-aware enough to acknowledge what was happening.
That being said, at the same time, it's like, okay, Judge, now all of a sudden you're like, we're under the circus now, so we'll just do whatever. Well, screw it, we'll do it live. But before, what, like I said, when you threw Swordsman into prison, oh, all of that was fine. But then now, all of a sudden, everything is like, it's okay. Like, it's, they even say in the episode, like, this is a court that is corrupt, that is designed by the mayor
Mm-hmm.
to convict his enemies. How
Yeah.
is it all of a sudden that now this judge, and I guess there's some scenes where it's like she doesn't want to be like this, or she's not completely on their side. I feel like that should have been set up a little bit more, especially because what it ends up happening is like, oh well, Karen gets off scot free. Um, but I will say the consequence of that is Matthew does probably have to go to prison, and that to me, it's like okay, I could forgive all of that because there is some consequence for all this tomfoolery. Even if I don't like the execution of it, I can live with it. And then after all of that happens, um, they go out to the um, to I guess the lobby of the courthouse, and Bullseye takes the shot at Buck. This is another thing to me that's like I don't understand how Fisk is now like like I said in the about the last episode, he's all of a sudden wanting to do things by the book, but then has Bullseye, or at least a fake Bullseye, outside the courthouse waiting to kill Matt Murdock. It's like, why is it like in this particular situation with Karen? Like all of a sudden now I want to do things by the book, but again, that's neither here nor there. And then that set piece that they're talking about, and then BB has her report, which galvanizes a lot of the people in the city to go up to the courthouse. My biggest issue of this episode happens where there's a confrontation between the AVTF, Powell, and Cole, and the people in the crowd. And Ava is like, "Tell him what you did to my uncle." Blah 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 blah. And they go on this spiel about like what happened. And Cole is like, "You told me that Hector pushed people onto the platform and killed cops." And I'm like, okay, first off, I don't buy this. I know they're saying that this is going to be some Darth Vader level redemption. I cannot buy that in the slightest. I think this is probably the worst writing of Born Again. This guy murdered Hector, like full stop. We had a whole trial, all the evidence laid out. And you're telling me that because Powell told you that Hector pushed people onto the platform, you're going to believe him on his word and kill Hector for it. No, I can't get with that. Even if I get with that, you don't deserve redemption. And then, but I went back to season 1 because I wanted to be sure of this. Because Powell told Cole that Hector did that, Cole went on to kill Hector. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
In episode 4 of the first season, there's I don't know if you guys remember the interaction between Matt and Powell, where he's like, "You killed Hector, like you did this, like he had a family," and then Powell pulls him to the side, and Powell says straight up, "I had nothing to do with it. I don't know what is going on. I had no idea. I had nothing involvement in the death of Hector." And Matthew listens to his heartbeat, and he's telling the truth. But in this scene, in this finale, it's pretty
Mm.
much implied, no, he did know how Hector died. He was the one who kind of sick North onto him. So it's like, what had just happened? So either they have to explain it somehow, some way in season 3, because I can't
I
buy
doubt they will. I don't think they
I
will.
can't buy this redemption of Cole North after you murdered Hector. I cannot buy that you are redeeming this character after we've seen the AVTF do some horrendous shit, arresting people without due process, putting them in cages, and North was a part of that because he escorted what's her face, Kristen, to the prison where they kept swordsmen.
Mm.
So he is very aware of what's going on, but all of a sudden now, because they might shoot Cherry, all of a sudden he has a change of heart. I can't
Mm.
get with that. I'm sorry. That
Yeah,
completely took me out of the episode and is probably the biggest issue I have with it.
What were some of your
interesting.
issues, Julio?
For me, the issues were, well, the biggest one was the consequences that Fisk, because they're like, take the deal, Fisk, like just leave in exile and never come back.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before he goes on a rampage and kills like
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of civilians. So it's kind of hard to believe that they're like, okay, Fisk just killed all these people. Let's still give him the deal. Let's just still let him go. Like, what's stopping them from arresting him and or like putting him in jail or doing something instead of just saying go to exile? And to me, it's just like, oh, maybe Marvel just doesn't want to kill him off
Yeah.
because they want to bring him back somehow for something else. Or whenever their ratings fall, they're like, oh, let's bring Fisk back because that will get people
Oh, the ratings
to
are
watch
already
it.
falling from what it sounds like.
I think
Yeah,
so, but I think it also might be his larger ties with the government, like his colluding or whatever with
maybe.
Valentina.
True. I
Um,
guess you could say that he could expose their
Yeah, I guess. I
yeah,
but
guess.
then
because
at
of
the
the
same
deal
time,
with
that
the
would just give them less reason to keep him alive. They should kill his ass if he could possibly potentially expose them for
Right.
any like
Right.
conspiracy that, especially with Valentina and Matthew Lillard's character,
yeah.
Charles, Mr. Charles. Um, so it gives even less reason for him to be alive. The only reason I don't hate his ending is because what he talked about with Vanessa earlier in the season, where he's like, "Oh, I hate sand. I hate how it's between my toes." He gives the Anakin line. There's a lot of like reheated like nachos for like um movie references. I hate sand. When they're in the courtroom, he's like, they do the "a few good men" line. He's like, "You don't have to answer that." He's like, "I will answer it." And it's like, okay, we're and the whole "I am Daredevil, I am Iron Man."
Hmm.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that in this season, I've noticed.
Also, a thing that kind of I feel like could have been done better is the whole Wilson Fisk Kingpin taking control over the city and stuff. To me, it just didn't seem like he was really that threatening when it came to controlling the city.
Dude, you are on it. You are on it.
Because we do see these people that he arrests for no reason, like the girl's dad or the girl's mom, who like grabs the ATV dude or the
Grant.
Hmm.
yeah, her aunt. She grabs the guy's arm, and then he's like, "That's assaulting an
Assault on an
officer."
officer.
And then they put her in jail. But then when you see this jail, it's like 19 people in prison, and they make it seem like he's like terrorizing the whole city. But from what we see, it's just a couple people, and then we don't really see like any amount of chaos, I guess, throughout that makes it seem like, oh, Wilson Fisk is unhinged, especially when Vanessa dies. Like Pablo said, oh, now he wants to do things by the book after Vanessa dies. Like you would think that he would go crazy and like rule with a hammer fist, but
Hammer
instead he
fist.
just does
An
stupid
iron
shit.
fist.
An
An
iron
iron fist.
fist.
I don't want to say that because of copyright reasons. Um, But yeah, like so to me, his presence just didn't feel as threatening as they were making it seem to
Yeah.
be.
hmm Especially
Hmm.
the line that Daredevil and like Bullseye have in like episode 5. It's like, if Vanessa dies, he's gonna shake the whole city to like get us. But he didn't do anything after that point that he wasn't already doing before.
That's
Right.
true. Yeah, he didn't like up the ante or whatever. He just kind of kept business as usual.
In fact, you could argue he toned down, especially like, if he was going to do what Matt and Bullseye said he was going to do,
Hmm.
Karen would not have survived. She would
Hmm.
not have, like, the second he went into that prison, it should have been over for her.
He would have popped her head.
But like, maybe, and this might be my little conspiracy. If Foggy was alive during this time, I think Karen might have died in this season,
Probably.
because
I
there's an actual presence in the comics. Karen's been dead for like a quarter of a century at this point. So
Oh damn.
there is like actual reasons as to why like she could have been killed off. But since Foggy's already dead, you can't just leave him alone
I
without
guess they
Foggy
didn't
or
want to
Karen.
do a thing where they kill Foggy in the first season and then kill Karen in the second season. And then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, who's gonna die in the third season? You know,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
Cherry.
don't even know if he has anybody.
No, there's
Cherry.
Right.
kind of going to the thing with Heather and
Mm-hmm.
and the mask. There is that moment where she's on the stand, and I think this kind of reflects
Mm-hmm.
some of the larger themes of this Born Again series. And you might have to remind me some of the exact wording if you remember better than I do.
That scene reminded me of the Mask scene with Jim Carrey, where I don't remember. I don't know if you remember. He goes and talks to this guy about masks because this guy writes books about masks, like saying, "Oh, the mask is, basically what they said in this in that episode in court,
Mm-hmm.
where they're saying that the mask is what's actually like our true human nature,
Yeah,
and then what we use, like when we're socializing, like our face is what we're kind of hiding."
I see why they added it in the show, and it is set up for Heather as
yeah.
well. So.
So we see that with Matt as like the Daredevil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then that kind of ties back to that initial conversation with him and Fisk in the diner, where they're like, "We're never gonna actually like, we're always gonna be who we are. We're never gonna be anything other than who we are." And that's like Matt really as Daredevil and like just this angry, wanting justice, like his like vitriol for Fisk. And then
Mm-hmm.
Fisk is never like, obviously he's always going to be in his true nature as a villain and all of his tendencies and violent tendencies and all that stuff. And I thought when I was kind of thinking about this at that moment in this episode, I kind of liked how that moment with them in the diner does kind of tie all the way to this moment in the finale where Fisk is, he's not who he presented himself to be. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
we all knew that. Matt knew that when he said, he was running, he became mayor. So Fisk ended up being who he always has been. Matt is still who he always has been, but this time everyone else, like the world, knows that he's Daredevil, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that like becomes public. Um, that I thought was kind of poetic too, in a sense, because I was like the first season or the first episode in the first season, and then the finale of the second season tied together. But with Heather specifically, she puts on the mask, and when she looks in the mirror, she sees herself, which I think clearly indicates that like she is no longer like Heather, the psychiatrist, or
Mm-hmm.
the whatever to Fisk. Heather is now Muse, and Muse is like who she's become, or like the part of her that I guess that's come out, that like that's who she is now. So that's how I saw that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Heather is Lady Muse essentially, and that's for like the trajectory of her character. So I think
Yeah.
that was also kind of the tie-in, like she was writing what she was writing about in the book, I guess, was about Matt or whatever, vigilantes,
Vigilantes, yeah.
but like it
It
also
was
is
really about
true
her.
about herself, whether she realized that or not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, overall thoughts on the finale?
Hmm. Like we said already, it was good. It had some good moments, but then it also had like its bad moments that I feel like they could have been executed a lot better, or things could have been done better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, if I have to compare it to like season one, I feel like, of course, this ending is way better, and it does like resolve things. There's still some things that are left in question. Um, but I think for the most part, it's a solid ending. Like it's satisfying enough for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Finale as a whole, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. Obviously, like the whole thing with like Fisk getting away, it's just like I'm not like fully on board, but with the stretch of the imagination, I can kind of, I guess, if he's actually out of the country and exiled, and the states don't want anything to do with him, they'd rather him be out of the country than in prison in the country. I I guess I could kind of see where they would rather have that. That would be like the best case scenario for the United States instead of having to deal with him domestically. Um,
Yeah.
but overall, I felt like the arcs, each of the arcs that we've had a satisfactory conclusion. Some of them ended like BB and Daniel. Now BB's with
The bulletin.
the bulletin. Exactly. Thank you. Which will be, I'm interested to see where her story continues. I'm interested to see how Buck's story continues. I think with Daniel telling him that, you know, at some point it's gonna be you or whatever, how long it until a gun's pointing at you or something. I think that's obviously where his story's gonna go. It's just kind of inevitable. Um, I am personally, I do kind of hope we do move on from Fisk. Uh, I do love seeing Bullseye, but I just want to see more of Daredevil's rogues gallery. So I
Mhm.
kind of hope we get more of that in the next season. But I did enjoy this season overall. I did like the finale overall too. Um, this is like a 8.5 out of 10 for me. Season 2.
Okay.
All
Pablo.
right. With so this finale again, I think I'm torn. There's some really like Julio said, there's some really good parts. But to me, as like I said with the AVTF and Cole North, it's like you cannot buy that they're all just going to be redeemed because even though they're thrown in prison, like
Mm-hmm.
I can't buy the redemption of these characters. They have done so many terrible things over the last 2 seasons that I can't buy anything that you could throw to me, especially this show. Um, with the way to handle like this type of redemption. And overall, I think the finale is like it's fine. It's good. It's definitely better than season one. Like I said at the beginning, season one it was just a train wreck, and they were just trying to right the ship for the
Yeah.
entirety of that season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big reason why they're doing this Lady Muse storyline is because they killed off Muse in like 2 episodes after they showed him, and it's like, why would you waste a really good villain in just a small amount of time? So yeah, this hopefully Lady Muse can come around and she could actually be in the storylines that the original Muse was. Overall, yeah, even though like the consequences for Fisk were it was really sloppy in my opinion. His ending being alone where Vanessa wanted to be, but without Vanessa at a beach in an island.
With Buck instead.
I, I don't even know if Buck is there. We
I
don't
No,
know
feel
where
I
like
thought it
Buck
was.
is.
Buck's
Oh,
might have
that's
left.
right.
And I think my biggest issue with Born Again is fundamentally the runtime and the episode count. They need a lot more time to flesh out a lot of these characters. While I do think there's a lot of good, take for instance Matthew Lillard's character. He doesn't really do much for the entirety of the show. He gets maybe a minute or two every episode where he just sits there, talks to Fisk, and then nothing really happens because of it. Fisk just walks right over him on a consistent basis. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, if you gave us time, gave us more episodes, longer episodes, it doesn't even have to be 13 like the original, but maybe 10 episodes at an hour length, that could work out. You could flesh out so many more characters. You could
Mm-hmm.
do so much more with that. But because there's just so much like and even Daredevil, if you guys haven't watched the podcast that they released with these episodes, there's the one with Matthew Murdock where he's talking to like one of the writers and showrunners, and he's like, "Yeah, we filmed like a bunch of scenes, and it was all cut. And I'm like, why are you guys cutting content when the season already feels like it's moving really quick? They're not slowing down. And I think when we were talking about episode 5, I forgot to mention it because Julio was talking about how everything was ramping up with like because he just attacked Bullseye just attacked Vanessa, and then the next episode just dialogue. And that's the difference between Born Again and Netflix to me, is that they take the time to slow down the pace and just let the characters just talk. And I feel like I hope moving forward that Born Again starts doing that a bit more.
Because yeah, that episode for me, episode 5, was kind of the thing that made me feel like, okay, there's potential in the show. Like the writers have um, the ability to make good dialogue and to actually keep us engaged with said dialogue. And that's one thing that I feel like season 1 lacked. It was just, let's do this and this and this and blah blah blah. But this show, like they can just like sit us down and listen to these characters and for it to be engaging, and that way they can like build up to things. Um, so I do have higher hopes for season 3. Hopefully, they can continue to just add more of this narrative scenes like they did in episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Oh, and the grade. I forgot my grade. I would give it probably like a 7.5, I think, overall.
Okay.
All right.
I was debating between a 7 or 8, but I think I'm gonna give it an 8. They're like making the things that they did in season 1 better in this season. Like I feel like they were just trying to
They're still course correcting from season
course
1.
correcting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which honestly, that I don't know if you guys think how you feel about this, but I'm thinking maybe it was a mistake to kind of try to do that Frankenstein's monster. Maybe what they should have done is either just reboot all the characters like they were planning to do in the original idea, or just scrap all of the ideas they had originally and just start again. Because I feel like at this point, like we're 2 seasons into the show and they're still trying to course correct from the what they did in season 1, and it's like, man, like I really wish that wasn't the case. I really wish one person's vision was consistent throughout these 2 seasons. So that's our review of this horrible show.
Right. That concludes.
So that's our review of Daredevil Born Again season 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Marvel and nerd content.
Yeah, where was Spider-Man?
I don't know.